Heyo.
Buddy. We are live, and we're joined by guest Amanda B. Thank you for joining us tonight, Amanda.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, we're glad. Hopefully Jim Cox makes it. We've invited him on, but I don't know if you got our link, so we'll see what happens. But we're going to go, and if he wants to join in, Jim, if you're listening, join in, please. And look on Twitter and your DM and messages there. So, Kevin, you want to open us up here?
Well, yes, today it's a lovely Tuesday here for Dirk and Murph Duke It Out. Usually when we have guests, we're a little bit more behaved, so we probably won't have any Duke It Outs today.
Maybe.
So, yeah.
Don't do that on my behalf. You're fine.
Oh, so you want us to have a Duke It Out
You
session?
can do whatever you like.
Well,
we might later. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you know, today is a more interesting video that we'll have. It's kind of talking about all about the fans and what fans want when it comes out of products, but in particular when it comes to the comics in the industry of Comicsgate. And so we're going to be kind of talking about looking at people's past successes and things that haven't worked, and you know, looking at it from artistic and written point of view as well. So it'll be a nice, good, hopefully deep conversations we can get in.
Yeah. You know, I feel like Leroy does a really good job, and I'm just going to give him props for the last chat that I saw with him, talking about feedback from fans, honest feedback to the artists, and what that does to the artist, how the artists react, and that relationship, you know, between artist and fan. And I know it's super important to CG right now, that we show that the fans are, you know, really important to what we're doing. And it's not just about the creative team and selling the books and everything. Building the community is very important to what this, or to the success of this. And so that made me think about, you know, what Jim was saying. He was like, you know, artists don't want to hear feedback. And I told Jim, I said, I want to hear your feedback, man. I want you to get on a stream with me, talk to me about art. I know when I was doing the live stream, he said, hey, I'll jump on with you and I'll talk to you while you're drawing. And I was like, that's awesome, you know? And I don't know if I've seen any, I don't know if I've seen anybody do a live stream and just have another person chatting while that's going on, but I think it's a great idea. And he can tell me, hey, this is what I'm thinking, you know? I love to hear the feedback.
I know there's a few draw streams that while the person's drawing, the other person will like try to take questions from the chat and interact with the chat. So it makes it a little easier on, say, you who would have to do all the hats. So
Right. Yeah, I want to say hello to a few of the people in the chat, by the way. Mr. Von Stugel. Much like the Tootsie Pops question, the world may never know. I love that. Frog G, hail all, can't stay, but I can drop a thumbs up.
Wait a minute. Wait. Time out. We do know the Tootsie Pop. It was 3, right?
It was 3. Yeah, 1 lick, 2 lick, and then a bite.
Yeah.
Well, he kind of fudged it, didn't he?
I'm pretty sure the owl's official.
If you want to believe the owl, I don't choose to believe the owl.
He's wearing glasses. He has to be official.
Well, so am I.
I think he was wearing glasses, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was. Maybe. I know he took bites out of it. That wouldn't constitute as a lick, would it? I think it's a little different. So.
No,
well, anyway. Oh, hey.
He counts the lick.
Guess who decided to join us?
Hey.
Hello, Jim.
Late and gay.
Thanks for joining us on the stream, Jim.
Are you there?
Maybe he's muted.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. You okay? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight.
Good to be here.
Yeah, we were just talking about you on the stream with Leroy and how I told you that I really wanted to hear feedback from you as a fan, especially on everything that we're doing. I want to hear how, just what is going on in your brain when you see our work, and what excites you about a campaign. You and Amanda both are, becoming pretty prominent in CG as far as being on the chats, being in CG, backing campaigns, things like that. And we want to hear what you're thinking, because I know you're new to this too, and we're brand new. This is our first comic, our first campaign that we're going to try out, and it's a little daunting.
You guys have been around for what, a couple months now?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been lurking in the chats and been getting my name, I guess, more known among people, but it's a slow process. It really is taking a long time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we definitely want to hear from you guys and just, talk about things that are working for people, things that are selling a little bit. What would excite you? So, Kevin, do you want to start off doing that? And then we can go into some other things a little bit later.
Sure. Well, we're kind of talking about two different things when we're talking about letting artists or writers know when their stuff isn't working, or talking about the actual Indiegogo. I keep forgetting what the name is called, but the program that people do. So it's kind of two different things we'll be talking about. I think probably first we should talk about maybe like the art and story. Does it seem like because I think even Bancroft, the one episode, was talking about it, about getting on people, whether they didn't like something or they didn't like that things weren't being fulfilled. Because when it comes to me and Derek, we're like brothers, so we're pretty good about checking each other if something with the story sounds crappy or the art isn't where it should be.
Yeah, right.
But the thing that I'm always worried about is when I see all these movies and TV shows that millions of dollars or billions of dollars go into, and it sucks, and people think their own stuff is great. So I guess, do you think, I guess I'm asking a bunch of questions, so let's just start with the first one. Do you think the community, the writers and artists, look forward to hearing negative comments about their product?
I don't know. In my opinion, if I hear something negative, it depends on what it is, because all of us have our own tastes also. So just because someone else doesn't like something doesn't necessarily mean I won't like it, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that is a big question you asked.
Who really wants to hear that their stuff isn't good? Like, I don't think that's what they're, some people are willing to hear it, but nobody really wants to hear it. You definitely want to hear, hey, this is great. But, there are definitely artists out there that have been very receptive. And I can think of a couple people where I've given feedback to, and they have taken it and plan to apply it in the future or change something that I've, suggested recently. And they thank me for it, because it could be a situation where, like, I don't do it to imply that they're bad, but somebody else can look at it and make a judgment based on whether or not they're backing something, and then because of some typo or something, they're gonna not back it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. Nobody wants to hear it, and I think, for me as an artist, it is tough to hear. But there's a lot of times where I guess I'm looking to see if, as an artist, I want to see that I'm matching up. You know what I mean? And the only way I'm going to know is if I hear something. I think to hear nothing from anybody is very tough to take sometimes, and it's easy to put things out there on Twitter and not get feedback at all,
that is true.
And it happens, I've put that stuff out there and not a thing. But if I hook up with the right person, then all of a sudden it blows up. So it just depends on, I guess, where I'm doing it. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's a hard one too, because there's some stuff that you really don't want to comment on because it's terrible. I mean, seriously, there's some terrible stuff out there for sure.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just Comicsgate, but just independent artists. And
Yeah,
but
I agree.
you can be honest about it too, I guess. And it's difficult. It would be nice to see some shows, some fan review shows pop up, but I don't know if
Yeah.
I have the gumption to create one myself.
Oh yeah. Well, it's easier than you think. If you want to jump on and do that, Jim, I think that would be awesome.
It's great to see the fans get together. Like whenever I see you guys on Leroy's show, I enjoy hearing that side of things because it's the real side of things of where customers are and what people are thinking of projects. And it's not about, trying to shill anything or trying to get your name out there at all. And so I like to hear the feedback. For me, I see a lot. I can tell when somebody's really struggling with art, and I want to give feedback, but it's really tough. And I feel like sometimes it's hard if I don't have a relationship with that person,
Yeah, and personally, I don't think you should.
Yeah.
As a creator, it's a little different for you because then people are going to look at your judgment of others, you know what I mean, and can take that into consideration, whether it's fair or not.
Yeah. I think if I was going to criticize anything from somebody, I'd probably do it in a private message.
Yeah, as far as, yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want it to be public. I don't want to embarrass anybody for sure. And I definitely would want to do it because I love to teach. I'm more of a teacher. I would want to do it in a teaching kind of way because I can see where some of that stuff they need help in. And for me, it comes from that side of things of like, oh man, look, if you did it like this, or if you approached it this way, it might help. So I'd rather be that way about it. I don't think I'd ever go and just rip up somebody's art and say, this is horrible. I don't think I could ever see myself do that.
Tact is always good.
Yeah,
I think so.
Even the fans shouldn't just rip some completely apart, point out if there are good points, point out the good points also.
Yeah. Do you find, Amanda, whenever you're doing the reviews, do you find it hard to be constructive? If
No.
you come across things? Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
Because I think being new to reading things, it almost makes it easier to pick up what I don't. The wording is sometimes hard because you have these people that are in comics that know all the vocabulary associated with such, and I'm just learning. So that's where my issue lies, but I can say whether or not that this made sense to me, this didn't make sense to me. I can hear the person saying it or it doesn't sound right, or especially most of my, not that I've read a whole bunch of comic books, but most of my critiques is if I'm reading it, am I looking back at like a past page to figure out who these characters are now, which I shouldn't have to do that because that's breaking up my reading. I want to be able to make sense of who's who the entire way through. And I can tell you that two of my reviews have had that be an issue. And I find myself to be a pretty fair person. Like I will I'm not going to say I don't like it. I'm going to specifically explain why I don't like it, and hopefully you can look at that and be like, okay, I see what she means. And I did have that. Granted, the most recent one was $4.99, which I haven't heard anybody, well, aside from other people talk about it, I haven't heard the creators talk about it. But one of the other ones was Mavericks with Noah. It was about his character design, and I've heard him in live streams since then talk about the critique that I made and how he plans to fix it, not knowing that I was there listening to it. So it's nice to have those people listening to that feedback and address it in the future.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I got to be honest. I've had my art on some things, on some streams and things that just trying to see what they thought, because I am a new artist as far as creating comics. And it's weird because they gave me some pretty tough criticism. I'm not going to say harsh because I don't think they were doing it mean-spirited at all. It was just tough. it was like, yeah, we can't follow this, and this isn't going over here. It's not drawing my eye over there. And, you know, and at first I was like, I don't have to listen to that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then I took it and I was like, okay, let me see what, you know, other people think too. You know, you can listen to somebody as an artist and go, okay, they have some points that they're making based on their own opinions. But I feel like that's not everybody. I mean, that might be one person's viewpoint. Another person might look at that and go, oh yeah, that's easy and I can follow, and here it is. So I tried to get some other feedback, and I got to be honest, I didn't make changes. I actually looked at it and said, you know, I think I'm still satisfied with it. But I think that's important too. You know, it gives me an idea of what some people might think of that page or that, you know, that piece of art. So.
Well, it
It's
is
still
nice
very
because you do
important.
get their perspective, and then you can try to see it from their point of view, and whether you agree with it or not, at least you know to make your final decision.
Right. Statistical Zero says it's always appreciated to hear a brand new to comics perspective. At least I do. Yeah, I agree with that. And that's why all of us are on here, I think. You know, it's hard to go in there and act like you're like a seasoned pro. I'm not a seasoned pro at all. I was a little scared to even jump into doing a comic.
Sure, but you're not brand new to comics. I think Amanda and I are both pretty new to comics in general.
Yeah, I've grown up reading, and I followed them, you know, for a long time. So yeah, that's very true. So yeah, you
And
guys
like
are. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, like Amanda said, we're giving our opinions on what we're seeing and what we're thinking about it now, not using the proper terminology half the time, in my case anyway.
Yeah.
Because I don't, you know, I bought some comic books when I was young, but I never followed one. I never read a whole series. I read an odd comic book here and there, you know.
Sure. But do you think not knowing the terminology makes the artist think your points are invalid? Is that what you're worried about?
Not necessarily, unless I use completely wrong terminology and they don't know what I'm saying. But I don't think we have that problem.
No.
I'm just saying, it's, you know, listening to people talk about it. Sometimes I don't know exactly what they're talking about.
Okay.
So
yeah,
that's like maybe one of the fears of creating a YouTube channel. People are going to rip apart even our critiques just because, based on small things that might not even, you know, really matter in the big picture, in the context of it.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying there. I think though, I don't think you have to have a full knowledge. If you had full knowledge of how to create comics, you'd be creating comics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's what
I do have two ideas.
Well, there you go. So you might jump in at some point, and I think that's really cool too. You know, a lot of people have become fans, and then they want to create something. I think that's awesome. And
yeah, and that's one thing you mentioned was that you're pretty confident. You both are pretty confident, but I have one question, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but do you guys have an editor, or do you plan on getting one?
We plan on getting one.
Yeah, we plan on getting one.
That's
all
one
of
of the
our
big mistakes.
Yeah, I agree with you. We finished all of our pages for the first issue, and I guess everything is done except coloring. And I lettered, but we're actually thinking about going back and having.
Hey, Derek, your mic's a little low.
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
I can hear you fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're actually thinking about going in and maybe asking, you know, the letterer to letter our comic, Eric Weathers. I mean, it's just open and honest. We've thought about that, and we want it to be great. So we want to get some good things in there and have good people involved. So yeah, even though I've spent a lot of work doing it, as I look back, you know, I don't know if I've done a great job. So I would rather have somebody tell me and then maybe get a better person to do that end of it.
With
Yeah.
someone like Eric, he would give you an honest assessment too. He might say it's okay, or maybe you could hire him just to review it and then see what his input would be if he thinks it needs redone. Or
Yeah, I mean, that's a good suggestion. I didn't think about that at all.
I've heard that he does that with others too. Like I think he initially did that with some other campaign recently.
Okay, yeah. See, that's awesome. That's the kind of feedback I need. In my, I've taken on a lot to learn how to create this comic, and there's a lot of learning to do. It's a big learning curve, and so I might think it looks good in the moment, and then once I get back to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, or somebody might point something out to me, and then it becomes this glaring thing that I didn't pay attention to the first time through.
yeah, I think we all go through that. I do that in the engineering world. I'm pretty good, if I do say so myself, but sometimes a new person can look at something I've done and point out a much better way to go about it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and one thing I wanted to say, I think comic books are the one media out there where you can break the rules. And if you ever look at the history of comic books, some of the biggest names ever were the ones that did break the rules of what should be done. And I think that's what's honestly kind of great about comics. There's other medias where you can't do that, where it just doesn't work. But comics, you have so much more control over.
Oh, for sure. And then a lot of the text is dialogue, and people don't always speak properly. So there could be grammar mistakes that are part of the character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And, and that's been a fear too, is just whether people are going to pick up on what we're trying to accomplish, I guess. You might intend something for a character, and hopefully people will pick up on it. So. Did I cut you off, Amanda?
No, I was just agreeing. Sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
And so just go ahead, Derek.
No, go. I was letting you go.
So not just getting, someone to letter it, even though Derek already lettered it, and also getting an editor, but we've been thinking about actually sending our book out to some people to kind of give us a review before we put it out there, just in case there's something that doesn't make sense, or maybe something that doesn't flow right. Because, again, it's so easy to like your own stuff and not, be bipartisan when you're, kind of looking over your own thing. So.
Or read it 20 times and not pick up on the one little small thing that somebody would instantly do it the first time that they did it.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll tell you. Go ahead.
So I was just going to say, Amanda, what you said before with your reviews, that's the one thing I don't want to do, is where it takes a person out of the story, because I hate it. I hate when movies do something and it takes me out. Like, I really want people to kind of, when they read our book, they kind of get lost and kind of have an adventure of their own and just really have a time of enjoyment where nothing else, can, in that way. And I think that's important.
Yeah, they're immersed in the story for sure.
That's how they're going to want more.
Yeah, right. Well, I was going to say, when I go in and do art fixes, I had to go back and edit some of my art. And I went back and thought I had the whole book done. And then I think it was like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, I went back in and looked again. I had some time away from the book and went back and looked. And I completely omitted like this weapon. That's a major part of the story, part of the character. And I just omitted it from the whole page. And I was like, oh my gosh, that doesn't even... It's not even on the page.
Whoops.
Yeah, so I'm like, those kind of things happen, and I need that consistency, because it would be on another page, but not on this page.
Yeah, and I didn't catch it either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was both of us, and I was like,
right.
Yeah, I think you hear of a lot of the creators passing work back and forth. So even like Eric Weathers, when he's looking at your lettering, I'm sure you could ask his opinion of the book, and he would give you a good, honest opinion. And some reviewers would be better than others. If someone really likes it, that's going to help you. That's marketing. That's part of the marketing right there.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I wanted to bring you guys on too, is just to hear about these kinds of things. I know you guys are, I know you're looking for good stories, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, like everyone.
Yeah. So, and I think that's like the perfect perspective to have. Um, I feel like also there's some other pieces to it that I worry about, because I was just thinking about this. When I started out drawing this book, my art it was okay. I feel like I was okay, but I feel like as I progressed through the story, my art amped up because I was drawing more. Um, and I'm a little worried that my art is holding up, because it took us a long time to get this comic built, Um,
Well, yeah, from page 1 to like
yeah,
page 27 is like 4 years. So
yeah, it's 4 years.
Wow.
So I know that's probably like, oh my gosh, those guys took 4 years. And yeah, it was a long time because we work, and I'm a dad, and whatever else life gets in the way, you know what I mean? But I guess I just worry that the art isn't holding up, um, to what I can put out now.
Well, is it consistent? And even if it's not, people like seeing improvement from the front to the back sometimes. Although I hear some of the creators talk about it would be better, like if you drew the first page and then the 20th page and then went back, and
That's interesting.
just
Not a
to,
consistent. Yeah.
not to spread out the consistency.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't know myself. I kind of like, it's kind of neat seeing improvement from book to book. And like Amanda said, she reviewed Noah's book, and he was 16 when he started writing that book. So
Right.
you can pretty much guarantee his next book there's gonna be artistic and writing improvement.
Yeah. And I don't know how you guys feel. I'm a musician too, and I love music. And when I listen to bands, one of my favorite things is to hear the evolution of the band, from like their first album till, forever down the road, whenever they just keep putting out albums. I like to hear a band evolve each album. Some people don't. Some people want to hear the same thing over and over, but I like evolution. And, I guess I think about that as an artist because, I know that I'm still growing, and that's something that I like to see from people. I want to see them level up and see something get better and better as it goes along. So,
I agree.
Okay. Yeah. How do you
And
feel
some,
about it?
well, like music, that's good to see, but it is consistency is also good. So I don't know, like some bands, like Van Halen, their early stuff is a lot different than their later stuff,
Yeah.
and they definitely went through different evolutions. And
Yeah. Right.
but then there's bands like Cake, and they sound the same every album,
Yeah.
but it's good. So I don't know.
Sure. So maybe it just depends on the project or the band or whatever. I don't know. How do you feel?
Yeah.
But with bands, you notice if they're playing. I don't know that I would necessarily be able to pick out if they've gotten better, but I know I've seen that they've played different music, sort of evolution of that, and they'll bring in new fans that way. Like if they stay the same and they're always going to sound like Cake, you're not going to bring in the new fans.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you.
Hey, Passion.
Hello, Passion for Drawing. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah, I mean, I hear a lot of people just talking about, I got to improve my art, I got to go back in and redraw this page or redraw this or that to make it up to the level of quality I want. And it keeps making me think, okay, are they having George Lucas syndrome, or, where he just kept going and remaking the movies or trying to work at them to where is the product actually getting better, or is it getting to a point where you're losing that original energy, because I've seen that. And I think Star Wars did that, when he went back in and did the re-releases, and they had all that CGI in it. And to me, it just changed the story a little bit. It changed the movies, and it wasn't as cool as it used to be. You know, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
Well, I don't have any opinion because I don't know if I should say this in public, but I'm 53 years old and I never watched any single episode of Star Wars.
wow, okay, you're very
One of
much
the
the
few.
minority. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you know, for me, I just I think you can keep hacking away at something. You know, we know art is never finished. I mean, it just isn't. If you, at some point, you just got to kind of let it go, right? But if you're going to do that, you got to be satisfied, I guess, with what you're letting go.
That's true.
But if you're not satisfied and you always just keep working at it and keep working at it, do you ever let it go? You know? And
I don't think you do. Although if
Yeah.
there is a big difference from, like, say, the beginning of the book to the end of the book, or, you know, where the artist has evolved, there's been situations where people have redone the book, which leaves the fans waiting. So there is that fine line as to, is it worth doing it or is it not?
yeah, I agree. I think it's a fine line. Although I think also that as the artist goes, I think it's okay that you're not putting out, you know, if you're doing your best at that moment in time and then later on you get better and you level up, I think it's okay to see that, you know, and it's okay to
No, it
show
is good to
people.
see growth.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But also, like you were saying, if you send your stuff to someone else to look at, as an artist, it's easier to let it go when enough people have looked at it and said, this is good. You'll never be completely satisfied. I know how that is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. I just don't, I know that I want to hear feedback and I want to improve, but I think there's going to be a stopping point where I'm just like, okay, I'm not asking for feedback anymore. It's time to release it and let it go. And then the next one will be, you know, improved upon. And that's what I hope to see too. You know, I like going back and looking at some of the original Spawn comics and then go back to some of the later Spawn comics and see how much the art improved and changed. And, you know, they had a little bit of an artist change too, but it was pretty cool, you know, cool to see that. You know, of course you have to have the art that can back up the change too. You know, somebody that can take over and do something really cool with it. So.
For sure.
So Kevin, you have some more points in there we had?
Yeah, so also, because I know you guys have been in the community longer than us, looking at people's kind of like what the fan would want, what I thought was really interesting is most books actually meet their stretch goals for the people that do have stretch goals. Because I looked about it, maybe 30 different CG, what is it called? I keep wanting to call
The
program.
campaigns.
Campaign.
Yeah,
Thank you.
campaigns.
I don't know why it drives me nuts. Looking at their campaigns, and I thought it was very interesting that people always made their stretch goals. Do they make a stretch goal right in the beginning and then never change it? And it just happens that the fans like it so much they're making sure people are making their stretch goals, or are people doing it as it goes because they're seeing for more demand? I don't know if anyone's noticed that, or
I think it goes both ways. I think there are some that are very confident that their books will do what they can do, and they create the stretch goals ahead of time. I know as a fan, it is nice to see the stretch goals, but I know some of the more recent feedback from creators themselves is to give it a few days to see what your pacing looks like. You know, like a couple days to see what you make and where you're going. And then that's when you're going to do your stretch goals. And whether you do them as backer count, which is becoming a little bit more popular these days, or versus monetary count. But that's definitely something that's up to you guys. You know, you could have in mind what you think you're going to do, but actually put the value to it once you see the pacing.
Listening to Rob Arnold and Michael Bancroft and some of the advice they give to creators, I would say for your first campaign, maybe even your first and second campaign, hold off and don't put up any stretch goals until you know where the campaign's going, and put a reachable stretch goal in there at some point. Don't.
Yeah, even. Oh, sorry.
I just want to
Don't
shout
lay
out
them all
hello,
out.
Eric. I had somebody join the show, so I just want to say hello, Eric. How are you? Thanks for joining.
The other thing I was gonna say is I know sometimes people will, where it's like your first campaign, they do like the keep it simple, silly, keep it simple, stupid. Where
Yeah. This
just
method.
don't worry about what you're doing for stretch goals. Don't go out of the box. You can just pick a couple of things, whether it be a trading card or a sticker or even a few extra pages. Although I know sometimes I hear that creators would get a little stuck on needing to create those extra pages and taking extra time. But I definitely would not offer action figures with your first campaign, or something
Why
far
not? I was hoping to do
stretching
that.
from that. Well, I suppose you could. We might like one.
I mean, it would be great, but nope, not to that level yet. That's what we were thinking about.
We're getting ready to design our campaign. I keep saying that, I've said this for a while now, but it seems like it's taken forever for us to even get together and do this. But I also want to do it right whenever we do it. And there's a lot to think about when you're designing a campaign. There are a lot of little things to think about. Is it enough that you're giving away? Is it something that's going to entice people? I think we have some art that will entice, but I don't want to offer crazy items in the campaign that have nothing to do with our story or, I guess our brand. I guess I'll put it that way.
Are you talking prints? Or are you talking pages
I think,
from the book? Or
well, I think anything. Like, I've seen a lot of crazy things, and I know people are trying to make their campaigns unique, and I think that's really cool. That's one thing I really love to watch, to see the original ideas come out for a campaign. Rob the Replicator, just for, he was putting out a video the other day of the wax stamp that he's doing.
the seals? Yeah.
Yeah, the seals. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. Those are nice personal touches that are unique to each campaign, those kinds of things I think work for me at least, but I don't know if I care about, pogs or, all these other little items. And I just want to make sure that whatever we're thinking about, it's enticing, and also, I guess, just not overdoing it or making something kind of cheap. You know what I mean by that?
I think pogs are going to only interest anybody that was born in like 85 or newer.
Well, and I wasn't trying to throw out pogs, but it just came in my head.
Okay.
But, I'm just throwing out an item that some people are going to find that very useless. It's not going to entice them. I've heard they don't like that stuff, or they don't like this stuff. And I guess whenever we design it, we're trying to come up with things that are, they have substance.
Yeah.
They're there.
Unfortunately, not everybody's going to be happy, though. No matter what you choose, you're going to have the people that'll either really love it, and then there'll be the group that really doesn't. So,
I think the safest bet for any kind of extras you do is just some kind of flat art, mini prints, trading cards, because we're all in it. We all love the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's one consistent thing that I know. Yeah.
Like, some people really like patches, but is that enough for you to want to do one, or pins or bookmarks?
Right.
Some people like them, some people don't. If there's some neat little thing you want to make for yourself, I think that's kind of cool at some point. Maybe your second campaign,
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Kevin, did you want to go into that a little bit on your Excel?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could definitely see looking through. So what I basically did was take a bunch of different people and then Excel, do their perks and their stretch goals, and kind of seeing what was the thing the fans really went to when it came to the numbers of people that actually bought things. And it did seem the big thing was different covers, and trading cards seemed to be the biggest things, where even when a campaign had something unique that didn't ever seem to really drive that many people, it didn't seem that many people really cared, or whether it was big or small. Money didn't seem to be an issue either. It kind of always seemed to be
Right.
like Jim said with the art. It seemed everything art based was much more appreciated by the fans.
Yeah, and you are going to want, as far as your campaign goes, you're going to want some. Don't just have like a $15 or $20 tier. Put some tiers together that maybe offer a sketch or something for $100 or $50, $75, because there are some people that like to buy the big tiers to back a new creator and to get some artwork or print or something special.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's not as important as that's not that important, but some people really do. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people buy those $75 feature tiers.
yeah. At first, when I was doing this Excel sheet, I was actually planning on posting it, but then I thought, oh, maybe some people wouldn't want their stuff kind of out there that you could kind of see easily, rather than just looking at the page. But it was interesting. Like, there was, I forget who it was, and I wouldn't mention it anyways, but they had something that was a big amount of money, and they only allowed, like, I think 60 or 70 people get it, and it went full of that. So it made me wonder, if they let it go more than the 70 people, how many people would have went for the items that they had. So
How did they determine who the 60 or 70 people were?
I guess it was just the first 60 some people that bought it, they got it, and then if you weren't one of those first 60, it was just gone.
Oh. Oh, well, there's people
Yeah,
that'll
but-
do like the tiers. They'll do limited edition stuff, which I understand that. Okay.
So Vaughn says the only stretch goal that manages to generate any real excitement with me is a badass print. Yeah. I think a lot of people feel that way.
I think that is a more uniform thing. Other people like some different things, but I think the majority of CG or comic book backers, like Jim said, would
Yeah.
appreciate the art-based print.
Okay. I mean, this is all good information. I love to hear this.
I like trading cards.
Yeah, and that's interesting how popular trading cards are becoming again. Because I'm hearing those all over the place. People love those. So
Well,
They're small and easy to organize, and
yeah,
just put in sleeves and have them in a little binder, and it's not like a stack of patches in a cookie can tin or something.
right. Yeah, and those are ideas that we're having too. We're trying to think of the little things like that, and
I always preferred magnets,
Oh yeah, that's pretty
just
cool.
because you can stick them on the fridge and hang things up with on the fridge. And
Well, what about a trading card magnet?
Hey, that might be neat.
that would probably be pretty
Right.
neat. Yeah, you can either put it in your binder or put it on your fridge.
There you go. Take it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
what
Anything
I
else in there,
also,
Kevin?
what I
You know,
also
we're-
by doing the
we're-
research is, not only do people like covers, but people really liked the wraparound covers, where it was the front and back and connected into a picture. I thought that was interesting, because not many people did it, but when people did, it was a big seller.
It probably depends on who the artist is also and how good the art is.
True.
But that's true. But one thing that I see people doing that I personally dislike, and maybe it's just because of anxiety I get when I'm shopping, is please don't have 5 variant covers on your first campaign. Maybe 2.
That's interesting. Yeah. We're actually thinking of 2 right now. The first one that we're thinking of is an homage cover. And then the second one will be probably like a wraparound, like what Kevin's talking.
But you're talking about with the artwork done by you, or you're talking
Yeah.
with a guest artist? Yeah, no, that's
it'll be by
fine.
me.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I thought about having a guest artist for a third, cover, but that's if we could land somebody that would be really interesting. And but that's not a definite. But we are doing the homage for sure. It's almost done. I thought about sharing it on here tonight. You guys want to see it?
Hey,
Yeah.
whip it out.
Okay. Even though it's not finished, you're okay with seeing unfinished art?
Yeah, it's not colored yet.
That's
All
okay.
all artwork is unfinished at some point.
Okay. Well, it's actually, there's some art not done in it too. It's not just that the coloring's not done, but the logo isn't finished. This is a mock logo for it. And some of the artwork, like the weapon, isn't finished. There's some things that are not done, but the majority is there. I'm going to show it, and then I want you guys to tell me if you know or have seen what this might be an homage to. So
The two people that haven't had much of a comic background.
that's
Sure.
okay. It's okay. It's all good. So just give me a minute. I want to get it up here. Pull it up. And you might have seen something like this. You may not have. So, but if you don't, that's okay. We'll cover it.
Maybe
Can you see it
someone in
okay?
the chat can help it out. Yeah.
Okay. Whoa. I'm losing my view here. All right. Is everybody seeing that okay, or should I zoom in?
I think you can zoom in a bit.
Let me. So this is a throwback cover to Mike Zeck. Have you guys ever heard of Mike Zeck?
I think I've heard the name, but
Okay.
the only reason I remember it is because I grew up with a family named Zeck, and I'm like, hey, that's neat.
Okay. So Mike Zeck drew a lot of great comic covers back in the day, and he did a lot of cool Punisher issues. He did Captain America back in the day. He drew G.I. Joe back in the day. He drew everybody, and he just had these amazing covers, amazing art for me growing up. So he's definitely one of my favorite artists of all time. And memorable artists that I can say, that guy had influence on me. And so this is actually a Captain America versus Wolverine homage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So our main character, Mayor, is
The guy in
you
the
guys seem like-
foreground, right?
yeah, he's the guy in the foreground with that big hammer axe coming down on the Beast, and the Beast is in place of Captain America. And so if you could imagine Wolverine's claws swiping big, that's pretty much the cover. And I just think it's a very striking image. And I thought, what a cool, yeah. Go ahead, Jim.
Oh, I was just going to say that is pretty cool. I like the artwork. I do dig it.
Yeah. So right now this is in digital pencil form. I will ink this and then we'll get it colored. I don't know if I have the original art to show you, like the original Zeck cover I can show you. Maybe
I
I'll
think
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Amanda.
I was gonna say I think it's great that you're not that I would have known this without you saying it, but it's great that you're picking an homage to like one of your biggest influences. Not just because you think the cover itself was great, but because he had such a profound impact on your history.
Yeah, I mean, he's part of the reason I kept drawing stuff like this. I remember redrawing some of his covers whenever I was younger, and I would just sit down and try to draw covers like him. And he drew tons of G.I. Joe covers. I was totally into G.I. Joe back in the day, in the 80s. And so, I really enjoy him. And so Vaughn says, Zeck, one of the better Spidey artists too. Yeah, to me, he was just an amazing artist back in that day. And I guess he still signs art at Comic Cons. So I'm going to have to go meet him someday.
So are you doing all digital, or are you going to ink it in traditional, or
okay? So, well, while we're in the sharing stage, I actually have drawn everything traditional. and then inked traditional, and then fixed digitally. And I feel like some of my new artwork might be digital sometimes, but I'm not going to do full digital. I just did a Viking Wolf piece. If you guys have seen this.
Oh, I haven't seen it colored.
Yeah,
That's
that's
cool.
awesome. Looks better colored.
Yeah.
Thank you. And, this, well, I just realized that this is off color now. My blade is off color, but whatever. This was traditional, colored on my phone, actually colored on my little phone.
Awesome.
You can do that?
Yeah. So there are free programs you can get. And I just posted it in there in my free time. I was watching movies and stuff and just kind of coloring my art as I sat around. And it was a lot of fun. So, but, I like my traditional pieces a lot. So for most of the comic, I'm going to draw, I think, traditional. But for the cover, for that, that Zek cover, I actually drew that all digital. So it's weird how I can go back and forth. I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do that. But once again, that's a learning curve. It's growing in the art. And I don't know. We'll see if I can strike a balance between it all when it's all said and done. I hope that people will enjoy both. I'm a little worried about people liking one over the other. So.
Yeah, and it doesn't really matter. I was just curious, which, there's some, as far as digital and traditional, there's great stuff both ways.
Yeah.
But it's, if you put any of that artwork up for sale, it's good to have some traditional to sell to people.
Yeah. And
If you're
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you're one that would sell it, and I could also understand the sentimental reasons not to sell it. Like some people never sell any of their artwork.
Well,
Mitographia, I'm calling you out.
Well, for me, I feel like my first issue, I may not do that with. Because it's our first issue, I may want to hang on to our pages for that. I don't know. That seems a little more sentimental to me. Maybe in the second issue, I would feel more free to let those go. I guess right now I've kind of struggled with that.
Well,
Yeah,
I think you also have those people where the IP's not established, where they'd be less likely to back a page on your first campaign. But on your second campaign, if you're willing to give up some of those first issue pages, then maybe they're more likely to. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is a difficult decision.
Well, also, if you decide to do a trading card or some prints or something, maybe you could sell the original artwork from that.
There's that, yeah.
Not even necessarily in your campaign, like maybe on one of the Red Valkyrie auctions or something.
Sure.
I know there are some of us that love getting hold of original artwork. That's
right. And I think as I go, yes, I'll be able to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm definitely not there. I don't know what it is. It's just a personal feeling I have for now, but I think it'll probably change down the road.
I'll keep breaking you down.
Yeah. Excuse me. So this is one of my first digital pieces right here. And I guess this is kind of what let me know that I could draw digitally and do well at it, or feel good about what I'm doing.
Yeah, and look at all that ink you didn't spend money on.
That's true too. You guys want to see a couple pages? We'll let you view a couple pages and then.
Do you have to ask?
Okay. All right. So this is page 3. I did take the letters out, Kevin, so I made sure I took those out for this viewing.
Yeah.
But you should just be able to see how the page is. It's just black and white, and we'll go from there. So
and that's something very important for your campaign, is to have some sequential pages shown in the campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And colored if they're going to be colored.
Yeah, everything will be colored.
Yes. So
we actually I think we picked our color guy, right? I finally convinced you the guy I like that. That's who we're going with.
yeah, I think so. I think we're going to settle. We had a couple people that we were talking to, but I think we're going to settle now. So that'll be good. It'll be good to get some things, some samples from him and see what he's wanting to do. So this is page 3 of the book. We open up with just a little bit of action.
So that middle, that beast there is not the same one that you showed us, right? On the cover.
Yeah, it is the one on the cover. So it's just slightly different, I guess. But yeah, you get a little closer up on it, you know.
Okay, I thought the horns were different. I thought it had 2 horns.
Let's go to it.
I might not have looked at it very well.
Oh,
No, that's okay.
tail.
It's just got that big long horn up here where he's smacking.
Oh,
it.
that's just a single horn.
Yeah, and then
Is it the
Okay.
tail in the back?
it could be the tail.
Oh, that's what I was looking at. Never mind.
Okay. It's
Okay,
hard
it makes
without
more
color,
sense now.
so
Yeah, color will give it the dynamics, and it'll look
yes.
a lot clearer.
I know. I've looked at some art sometimes on pages, and I'm like, wait, what am I looking at? And I have to really stare at it to see the differences.
No, that's what I was looking at. Amanda's right, because I see the
Okay.
tail now in this picture.
Okay. Well, tell me if you think, man, that just don't look like the same thing. That's looking a little too. Yeah,
But again, this
different.
page was done like 3 or 4 years ago compared to that cover.
Yeah, it actually was. Okay, so let's show you another one. We're going to go to page 21 here. This is later in the book. I have a few more action pieces coming.
Dig it.
Yeah, so there's some good action, some face smacking going on. One thing that's very hard is consistency of characters. And that's one thing that I really struggled with. for a
Yeah,
little while.
I bet.
So, and
I
by
like
the way,
that breakup.
okay, yeah,
That's
this
a cool
page
layout.
right
yeah.
here. Thank you. This page is the one that got criticized pretty hard, and it's good to just hear other people's opinion. I just want to hear what you think. Do you think you would have trouble following the sequence of panels?
I'm thinking it starts top left and goes down, and then
Sure.
bottom left and then bottom right.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yeah, that looks fine.
Good. Okay, so it worked. I just wanted to know if people would pick up on that, because some people were saying, no, I don't think that you can follow that very well. And I know they're cut up. I know it's a weird layout, but I enjoy it. So that's what Kevin and I go with that a lot. You know, we're like, well, if we think it's sexy, then go with it. You know?
Yeah, if it's sexy or cool.
Some people probably won't. I dig it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, that gives you a sample. I mean, this is also page 23. And so, once again, I feel like I know the art changes. I get smoother and characters, you know, start getting easier to draw over and over again. And so when you got that going on, then it becomes, I think, a little smoother. But, you know, I was always just worried that if the front of the book was going to look any good, or if people were going to be like, oh my gosh, that's not, you better bring up the level.
That'll be fine. So do you have an idea of your final page count?
Well, it's going to be, I mean, right now we have 27 pages. We've thought about, if we make stretch goals, we might actually add pages to the book.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like 3 pages, 4 pages, 5 pages, something like that. Which I thought was kind of a fun way to open things up a little bit. Add to one of the characters' story in their book that we only see on a page or two. So
Yeah, I think that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I like the bigger books. I like to see 48-page books, but I also understand. If not, I don't want to see $25 price on it. That's just my opinion.
yeah,
$15 or $20, fine.
right.
especially when shipping's going to likely be $10 or so or more.
Oh yeah, and that's something too. We've been looking at how people price their items for whatever. Yeah, we were. Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised people can even cost their books as much as they are, even when they are 40 or even more. You know, I'm
Yeah.
used to comic books being $3 or $4.
Right. So Vaughn says adding a few in order fully complete pages to a campaign so people can get a taste of the writing would be something to consider. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, like a page with all the
Like-
words in it.
Yeah, 2 or 3 pages together that
Mhm.
flow, so you can get an idea of the flow of the story. So
Yeah, something that's not a spoiler, but a taste of
yeah,
dialogue or
Yep.
the narration or something.
yes, and I think that's a great idea. So yeah, we have a lot of things to think about for this campaign for sure. Price point was something that we're thinking of since we were just talking about that. I mean, I know it's only 27 pages, so then I'm going, okay, that's kind of a thin book. We might be able to get 32 out of it, and then, when we watched other people's campaigns, we're like, wow, they're doing like 48 pages, or they're doing 60, or they're doing, 100 some pages. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're really behind the 8 ball on that one. But I think we can make that work out.
Yeah, some of them probably actually work against themselves too, though. Like Liam's Gray's Xenotype, that's like, what was it, 170 or 200 pages?
Wow.
That's a big endeavor,
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, more power to them if you can make that happen. I think for me, when I think about how long it took me to get to this level, I worry about what's going to happen in the future. What can I turn out in the future? I know I can put work out. I might be able to put it out faster than what I used to put it out, but can I do that level? Can I keep up with a book a year? Or, I saw a stream a couple days ago. They were saying, no, you need to put out two books a year, at least, if you're having a continuing story. And
I
I
think
know
that's
that tends to be the sweet spot because you're not
Yeah.
waiting a whole year for the finishing whatever has happened the year before.
yeah, the cliffhangers, closing
Yes.
up the cliffhangers. Yeah. I know. And I think that's the toughest part of this whole thing with doing campaigns, it's really hard to continue the story quick enough because we're very much in a consumer time. People are consuming as much and as fast as it comes out, and they're on to the next thing already. Yeah. So I think that makes it really tough. And having a full-time job, it's a daunting task. So
Now, your particular campaign, is it it's a continuation, right? Is it like you already know how many stories are in the arc or whatnot?
Kevin, I'll
Have you
let you
decided all
answer.
that yet?
You there, Kevin?
I'm sorry, what?
Your campaign, is there so many stories that are already planned for a certain arc? Is it a, one?
Oh yeah, because I was actually this story I started writing it about 20 years ago when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, and I was writing it as a novel. So the plan right now is that each story will be done in 3 chapters, which each chapter is a comic. So it's kind of the first, kind of like a movie. This is the first act, and then comic 2 and comic 3 would be the whole story for this individual story we're doing. Then while it goes to the next, like that's a reason too. The 4 years we kind of have a whole world made up and even like a map and different cultures and countries and all these type of things. So yeah, we have tons of story. It's just like Derek's saying, the time is really the drawing part.
Yeah. I mean, eventually I could see us adding an artist to help out. But not like doing every other page or something, but maybe just blocks, so that you can see the difference of the artist. Because I know people want, a certain artist on a book, but it's like, in order to keep up with the demand, if there is any, if there's good demand, let's just put it that way, in order to keep up with it, I think we would have to think about bringing in more to the team. You know. So
Have you thought about including any of that concept art in your book to help add pages to it?
oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I thought of that.
definitely. Yeah.
Okay, because I know you mentioned maps, and that would be kind of neat to see to help visualize where things are occurring.
Well, yeah, and I even thought of I was thinking of maybe doing that as a stretch goal, maybe, or a perk, because if we do the map, you can kind of get a peek of what's going to happen in the next book, which I think would be interesting for people that look forward to things. They can kind of take guesses, like, why did we make this place look like this, and why are we highlighting this area and that area? How is that going to be used, and things like that.
Yeah, I just think definitely the concept art. We have a lot of concept art that we can throw in, but once again, Amanda, you're throwing it out there. It's concept art that matters to the future of the story or to what a reader would want to see. It's not just concept art as a character. I mean, I might throw character concept art in there, but I want once again, it's going to have substance. So I want it to have a reason for being there.
Yeah, some characters development type stuff is neat to see in the back of the book, but don't go making it 12 pages just to get the page count up.
Right.
Or maybe even do a separate ash can or something.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I mean, I could probably even do a whole separate book of just a sketchbook. You know what I mean? Just a concept book, I guess you could.
Yeah, that might be another thing that's better for the second campaign too, though. But it's always something to think about.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
I don't know. I backed Reni's art book. It was just a random art book, and it's her first campaign. She just came in, and I liked what I saw, and I added on the art book. So.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
true.
Okay.
I mean, those are all great ideas. It's just something I guess we have to weigh out.
Right.
But it's great. I love this feedback.
And to me, honestly, I want more people to get it. To me, the money isn't as big of a thing. We rather keep things low so people are more willing to, like, hey, give it a shot. And then we didn't do this to make money. Honestly, this is really something that's fun for us, gets our creative juices out. So if there's a demand, the demand will help us get things out quicker because we'll have more resources to use. So,
Have you guys thought about digital tier?
we have, and I have heard people talk about it. If we did do it, it would have to be a rule where the digital, you wouldn't receive it till after all the backers got their physical copies, because I would not be happy if I was a backer and someone who got digital, which is easier to be cheaper, and they could read the whole story while I'm waiting to get my stuff. So
I don't think that's that important. I do think you should hold until at least fulfillment starts. I wouldn't necessarily wait till everyone has their book.
okay.
Just once you start shipping.
Start fulfilling.
Because I mean, it's digital. It's a lot easier.
Yeah.
We know that there's logistics involved, and it's a lot easier for you to get those out to people, and that'll help you anyway. If people read the digital one while you're still in demand and they like it, they're going to put reviews out there, and that might get you more traffic.
Oh,
Right.
good point.
I can also say that there was a campaign recently where I backed the digital, which the reason why I'm asking is because I'm becoming more open to the possibility of backing digital versus the physical. I understand it will never quite meet the physical, and especially if it's good art that you want to collect, you want the physical. But for the overseas backers, but I know that person gave the digital to everybody. So the digital backers, and then you had the physical backers that also got the digital perk, and everybody got the digital at the same time. Granted, it was a bit before the fulfillment of the physical, which I thought was a little weird, but everybody got it. So I didn't see any complaints about that. So
Oh, okay.
There is that
That's interesting.
possibility.
I mean, I think that's definitely something we should think about. I know we were talking about doing it. And yeah, I think the timing will be something we'll have to look at. I don't know.
Just
I'm
an
just
idea.
excited for people to see it. Yeah, I'm excited. So gets me real excited to hear what people think and like and want. So
I know there are some campaigns that look interesting enough, but not where I want to pay like the $25 for the book, but I will pay like, the $10 for the digital just so I can read it and get into the story and see if I even like it before I worry about investing more money in it. And I have done that recently. So
I mean, that's a good thought too. Maybe that's a good way to get people on, and then maybe they'll back more later. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting.
Although I have seen people do the digital tier at the same price as the physical book, because I suppose the same man hours have gone into it. You're just not getting a physical book, which there's some pros and cons to that. I'm technically of the camp where I'm not getting a physical book. I don't want to pay the physical price, but
Yeah.
I suppose you're saving money by not having the shipping. So
Yeah. I find it difficult. I mean, I want to back more campaigns. I'm seeing a lot of cool campaigns, and I'm just like, oh man, I wish I could get in on this. So I struggle a little bit financially being able to do that. But that's why I like some of the lower tiers, because I'm going, well, at least I will get the book, or at least I'll get something. But I don't know. That's a thought that what would work for people, and I want people to read it too. So I want lower tiers for people, because I feel like that might be a good way for them to jump in,
right.
and try it before they invest a lot. I think that's a great idea. A cat ate Jim, so Jim jumped out. So yeah, I don't know what happened to Jim there. Hopefully he's coming back on. It looks like I got to add him back in here. So, hey Jim, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, everything's good. What happened? Your cat eat you?
My 2011 laptop decided to have a blue screen. I didn't know those still exist.
Oh no. Oh man. Oh, that stinks. Oh well, we understand the technical difficulties. That's no big deal. Hopefully you can get that taken care of, Jim. Yeah, I mean, this has been a great discussion. I mean, Kevin, did we hit all the points? Because I feel like I know we're running over time, but I think it's been an interesting.
The only thing else I was going to bring up is, when you look at like EVS and Cecil, you wonder why the rest of, of course they're huge names,
Sure.
but it's interesting why the rest of Comicsgate, like there's a huge number of people no one else is hitting, and it's kind of interesting, like why are we not able to get those people that, you know what I mean? Because EVS and Cecil, people know their Comicsgate. It's I doubt there's that many people that don't know who they are, so it's just interesting why the rest of Comicsgate kind of can't get up to that, why there's such a huge gap.
Explain that a little more, Kevin, because one thing that we talked about this last night, I think you're going to have to explain what you mean.
Well,
are you there?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I don't but yeah, like EVS, like he had 11,000, almost 12,000 backers, and it's like, so where are those people? You know what I mean? That's
so when you see popular campaigns like the Lucent, the Replicator, other big campaigns, even Battle Brick Road, big like Monster MD, throw it out there, Bonds Industry. But when you see those things out there, the number of backers that they get, even though they're making, they're being very successful in their campaign. Their backer levels aren't quite up there, even though they're very well liked books, well liked projects, and so it does make you wonder why the numbers are so much lower in those other popular campaigns. Like, where are the rest of the backers that back Ethan, but may not back, these other campaigns? Do you see that?
I
Amanda?
know. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but we often say with Leroy in the group to not compare yourself to EVS. So, and
Yeah,
we're
and
gonna
I don't.
say it here with Cecil and stuff like that. I think
Yeah.
their numbers come from their followers specific to their channel.
Okay.
Ethan is quite the entertainer. So he has
He is.
people that will pretty much just watch his channel, watch his videos, back his stuff, and doesn't get into the nitty gritty and the other stuff of Comicsgate. You don't
Okay.
necessarily see them in the chats. You don't necessarily, there'll be times when I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people like to be promoted by Ethan or used to go on Ethan's channel, because their books would come in front of Ethan's audience, and there's times when his backers will back this because Ethan is telling them to back it. But you do have those smaller tiers, although those books are doing really well, but they've done what they're doing because they're working with their audience, or they're getting around in the chat, or they're working like this side of the non-Ethan entertainment side
Sure.
really hard to get those backers. And
Yeah.
you're going to find that as long as your first campaign does decent, you'll grow each time. You'll grow backers, you'll grow money, you'll grow, you'll grow.
Yeah, I don't think we were trying to compare to him, but I think we were just trying to.
No, I just thought it was interesting with how big the gap is.
Yeah. I think those people just tend to stick with Ethan's channel, to tell you the truth, but I don't know the definite answer to that.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, and a lot of his backers are probably Fandom Menace people. It's like a mix.
Yeah.
Comics.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, no, I think that's a great discussion to have, though. I mean, when you look at that, though, he definitely has had a YouTube channel for a very long time now, compared to other people too, which matters. And the volume, of course, is going to grow. So, all that makes sense to me.
He has quite the presence.
Yeah, that's true. That's true too. But it's interesting, because I watch other campaigns and I'm like, man, they've had some really great campaigns. Some of the campaigns I've seen rise really fast. I thought Viking Wolf, whenever it took off, man, that seemed to go fast, didn't it? I don't know if you guys thought that, but I thought he was up over 10 grand. Like, geesh, man, it felt like a couple days. He was.
There was quite a bit of hype leading up to that one, though, which was nice to see. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty cool, and I just kept thinking, like, wow, man, that was a different kind of launch compared to other people. Some people have like a slow build, and other people have had this just.
Well, this is also his like 23rd book.
Yeah.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Not that high, but I'm exaggerating. But he does have fulfilled books out there.
Well, wasn't it 5 last year that he did? I think he 5 in 1 year. It helps being just a writer in some instances.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, writing for someone like John Malin can't hurt.
True.
I'll bet. That's pretty cool. So, okay, well, Kevin, did you have anything else you would like to cover?
No, we pretty much covered everything. Really, really good conversations. Everything kind of made sense.
I really appreciate it.
Before we go, I'd like to make a couple quick comments about your YouTube channel.
Yes.
Okay. Please.
So you noticed that I caught a couple of streams, and I'm one that usually I like live streams. I usually don't go back and look at recorded videos or live streams that I missed.
Okay.
It's just the way I am. But one of the live streams I was on, I know you guys talk, and I know sometimes live streams are a pain if the creators are just shilling their book the whole time. Mm-hmm. But I didn't hear you guys talk about your book at all on one of the streams I watched. And just remember that every stream you have, there may be a new person in there. So take some time, take 5 minutes to explain who you are and that you're working on a book. You don't even have to go into details. Just say, we're working on a book called Celestial. You just give the title of your book or something.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't even think you said it once today. Ballad
Oh my
of
God.
Celestials, except for
Oh my
when
god,
you brought it up, like on the page.
we didn't. Oh my god.
Oh, that's hilarious. So, well, that's good
Yeah,
feedback.
so that's
See?
definitely something we gotta pay attention to.
Well, and I think that's what I wasn't, it's not like I'm trying to get on here and just shill the book 100%. So I guess we're not thinking of that. But the truth is, yeah, I think it's weird that you caught that. Because I felt like in our streams at the beginning, we were trying to say something about the book and then move on to whatever subject. So that's a good feedback. I mean, that's a good piece of feedback.
You may have, like I said, though, maybe I came after you said it. So every once in a while, just, don't necessarily
cool.
shill yourself, but just say, for anyone joining us, if you see a couple new people come in, just say, say who you are,
right,
and what you're working on, that you
I
are
think you have to
creators.
get better communicating with the chat. I know I barely ever look at it, and
yeah,
I know that we've seen other streams where people talk about that. Like,
right.
you got to pay attention to the chat. You got to let them know that you're
Yeah.
seeing them. And
Right.
I think you guys are doing pretty good at that. I see you stop, even if it takes a few minutes, talk about what you're talking about, but then go and say, hey, I'm going to go take a look at that chat and converse with the chat. There's some
Hello,
people
Vanessa.
that are opposite and they pay too much attention to chat, and it makes their show not very entertaining for anyone. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Yeah,
If you're just talking to chat
right.
without some kind of flow of, an idea of where you're going or what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so I think that's perfect time for Kevin to shill the book for a second then.
I agree.
Yeah. So we didn't mention at the beginning, but Derek and I, we are making a comic book called Ballad of the Celestials. We're going to be having our first issue out sometime this year, definitely. It should be soon. Every week we're here Tuesdays at 8 o'clock, and we'll constantly be giving updates. If you just joined, we did show our first cover. It's almost completed outside of some edits and coloring. But you know what? If you like adventure, if you like civilizations, if you like movies like Lord of the Rings, you'll like our comic book. It's about adventure. It's about heart. It's about good versus evil. It's about, what makes us strong, what makes us compassionate, what makes us human. And so it's coming out soon.
Yeah. Danger Vanessa says, oh, I clicked the wrong one. You have to talk to me. So I didn't know if you caught. I said, hello, Vanessa, but I didn't know if you could see me or hear me. So, yeah, it's great seeing some new faces in here and having them interact in the chat. So that's been great, too. And Vanessa says, are there cats?
Yeah, it's my cat. I'm sorry, everyone. I keep petting her, and it doesn't matter. She gets jealous.
Yeah, you can definitely hear her.
I think she's wondering about in the book too. Like Starlight cats.
Oh,
Are there
yeah.
cats in the book?
Not in the first issue, but
Right.
there will be a big cat in the second issue.
Nice.
Yeah,
there you
please,
go.
no house cats, please.
No.
Only in the background of the stream. Only in the background.
No, but we will have animals in our comic. None present for the first book, but there will be. We will have characters that are animals, but none of them speak English, nothing like that.
Right.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far. It gives me like a fantasy vibe. And one thing I'm not into comic books, but I did used to buy like a heavy metal magazine once in a while. I never really followed any stories the whole way through, but
Right.
I'm into that type of, fantasy artwork.
Yeah, I was into Conan growing up.
Yeah, I saw that too in your character.
Yeah, and He-Man. I mean, whatever you want to say about He-Man, I always liked it growing up. And yeah, I just love fantasy. I love that Conan fantasy vibe. So that's what we wanted to give it.
I was into Beastmaster when I was a kid. And you know why? because of the ferrets. So if you swap out
Oh,
the
yeah.
ferrets for some cats and put the cats in your book, you could do that.
That's cool. The ferrets were kind of cool though.
You
I
know, I
kinda
loved
liked
the
it.
ferrets. I wanted
Yeah.
ferrets just because of that.
I don't know if you should hire Vanessa or Amanda to edit your book.
To edit the book, right. Yeah, we'll keep that in mind for the future. She'll have ferrets on every other page. So.
Copy
That's cool,
editing. Amanda would be awesome for copy editing. She's pretty good at that.
I
Okay.
don't plan to.
You don't plan
Sorry.
to?
No, I don't. Not necessarily. I don't know how to put this. I wasn't planning on partaking in any campaigns in that way. Yes.
Right.
I like the chat and I like my reviews so far.
Right. I don't blame you. I think, I kind of like the niche thing too, seeing people stick to certain niches. It's kind of neat. So yeah, we don't know what we're going to do about an editor yet. We're just throwing that out there and just kind of saying, yeah, we're going to get one eventually and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, copy editing is a must in my opinion. Because I'll tell you right now, the Perfect 10 is, I like that the most out of all the comic books I've read so far. And there are a couple grammar errors in it, and it's some of us that bothers more than others.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But it's still the best book I've read. I like it. I'm not complaining, but he may have, I don't know what he did as far as editors, or if he had a second set of eyes to look at it. I think Dave, did most of the editing. I think he's listed himself on the credits as a editor or something like that.
Right. I think that's a great idea. We definitely at least want to have that, but we were actually talking to the 656 guys on here several weeks ago now, and they caught something in a word balloon that I didn't think of, and boom, he gave me instant feedback. He was just like, hey, you might want to do this because you want to avoid, and I was like, that's awesome, thank you. And it was just a little thing, but it was like, that's what we need,
Yeah, for sure. And that'll fall into, like you said, you're thinking about sending the book out to some people before you put it out there, and that's a good idea. If you find the right people, they'll give you good, honest feedback, and they might have an eye for something like that. Some of us may not even catch that either, and that's why I would never volunteer to be a a copy editor for anyone, because I'd feel really embarrassed if I did and I made mistakes or missed them.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I would want to either. I think it'd be tough to do.
Yeah, but there's people out there that do enjoy doing it and are pretty good at it, so it'd be worth looking into.
Well, if they're listening, they need to hit us up. Hit us up on Twitter or somewhere. Let us know if you're interested, because we would love to hear from you.
Yeah, you probably will. That's one great thing about this whole community. I mean, a lot of you creators help each other out.
Right. That's great. Yeah, I like that too. I mean, and I'm trying to jump into draw streams and just participate with a lot of the artists, because, I want some camaraderie among the artists too, and get to know these guys. And I've got, I've been on with a couple guys before, and it's nice, talking to Shelby and the Ott and Stuff guys. That's pretty cool to.
Absolutely. And we see you in chat rooms for other people's streams, and that's great too.
Yeah.
I mean, because we know you're one of us. You might be a creator, but you're chatting with everyone.
Yeah, trying. Man, it's a lot to keep up with. I will say that.
In all hours of the day and night.
Oh man, I know my wife's like, "Do you do anything else? Do you?"
Well, it's really, other than your day job, if you want to make this a career, it's part of your job.
Yeah, I mean, literally.
It's easy though. There is so many talented people in comics, like really.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to see how many artists and writers are out there that we don't know are artists or writers yet.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, it took us a long time to let people know what we were doing. And, because I was on a few things, and Bancroft put me on a show once, and you know, he asked me what, you know, are you a creator or whatever? And even though I put it out there, people were still like, wait, you're a creator? Or why aren't you getting on these streams or doing this or doing that? And I'm going, because I'm new.
Right.
So just want to shout out to Jeremy Burtz. Hello. Thanks for jumping on. So, yeah, I mean, well, thank you guys for coming on. We're going on an hour and a half. I'm sorry, Jeremy, you're jumping on a little late, but I don't know if we ought to go any longer unless you guys have more topics. I love talking. It's been great.
Yeah, no, I don't. I need to cut myself off sometimes because, you know, we could turn this into 4 hours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, and I know we kind of go over some of the same topics over and over in CG, and I feel like sometimes it's hard to get on to new information, you know. So whenever I heard you guys in that chat with Leroy, I was like, okay, I want to jump on that and kind of take that path, Jim, because, you know, I was like, you know, I want to hear feedback from you. You know, I want you to be able to be okay to go on and say, hey, Derek, I saw this the other day, and this is what I'm thinking, you know, and I'm cool with that. You know, I love to hear that.
Yeah, and sometimes I don't know if I should, but sometimes I've emailed or I DM'd artists when I see something that, you know, an error or something. I just, hey, just so you know, in case you didn't see it.
Yeah.
On this page, there's a little error, you know.
Yes.
Without saying any names, and most of them are pretty receptive of it, and
yeah, I would really appreciate that. So
something for you to look out for on the next project or whatever. If it's something that's already in print, too late.
Yeah,
If
I
they
mean, it's still
reprint
good to be aware.
Yeah, or you could correct it on a reprint for sure.
Yeah, that's true. So, well, great. I think it's awesome. I mean, you guys can always feel free to reach out to me and just let me know. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, and like I offered that one time when you were doing a stream to come on when you were by yourself, and
yeah. So if I do another live stream, yeah, I might have you do that. I'll just send you out an invite and say jump on, and you know we can talk, or you can interact with the chat or whatever.
Right. Yeah, that's always helpful for draw streams.
Yeah, I find that very hard when I'm drawing and I'm trying to interact. I'm like, what should I do? Should I just be silent or should I just keep going back and forth? And so it made it really hard to make progress on the drawing too.
Yeah, right. So, sorry, Amanda, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're okay. I just wanted to say before we left, I was going to ask if you guys have seen the document that Rob Arnold does. Have you guys actually read that for campaign?
Yes, I have. Yes, okay. I've downloaded it. Hello, Oliver.
Because nice I know Rob is actually, and I know it's not Rob Teenth yet, but he's actually very good at listening to backer suggestions and opinions and such. Yeah. And a lot of what is in that document is stuff that he's heard and has, discovered himself. So especially as first-time creators, I think that would be pretty helpful to read. To some of it may not work for you guys, but a lot of it might be like, oh yeah, we have to do this.
Yeah, and go back and re-download it once in a while too, because he's actually updates it every once in a while with different input.
That. Yeah, he's the only reason I probably know anything about how a campaign's built. Cool. Because I read that document. I really didn't know anything, and then he put that out, and I was like, "Oh man, this is great."
Oh, that's the document that actually talks about getting a YouTube channel, and okay.
Yep, talks about everything that we're doing.
Yeah,
so, kind of gave us a blueprint.
No, there are some people that don't follow all of those steps and stuff and do really well. Like, look at Eddie Winkler. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but yet he just got done his first and rather, I don't know, I'd call it very successful campaign. So, there are ways around it, but if you definitely want like a guide, that's definitely a good guide.
Yeah, I mean, it helped me out and made me question a lot of things and made me actually take a look at what we're doing. And I was like, wow, there really is a lot to a campaign. And I don't think people understand that. I mean, nobody says, other than Rob putting that document out, they're not saying, well, this is how you build a campaign. You hardly see any streams out there saying, This is what you do when you start a campaign.
Yeah. I think individually there are some that'll touch different bases, but you're not going to be able to catch all of those streams to be able to put it together in one nice place.
Right. Well, it'd be, that might be a good idea to do a series of streams on that too. Start off with just a few topics of it, of how to get it going, and then just go from there and keep, amping up. I don't know. Those are just ideas. I don't know if I'll do that on this stream or not, but they're at least ideas to throw out there.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever's listening, take it, run. So, well, thank you everyone for joining us. I think we're going to end it here. I mean, I think we
before my
covered
cat
a lot
ends
of
up killing me.
Yeah.
She's on a schedule. She's like, this should have been over an hour ago.
Well, Jim, I think Vaughn was thinking he got ate by his cat. Kevin is getting eaten by his cat. So that's how we'll end it. Just people getting tore up. So, well, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it and had a great time.
It's great to be here.
Hope to have you on. Yeah, we hope to have you on again. I'm sure we'll have some topics and, we'll talk to you, see you on Twitter, see you on some of the chats. All right. Well,
Awesome.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. Talk to you later.
Goodbye, everyone.
Later.